Hey folks, so I got to the junkyard. I got me a instrument cluster out of a wrecked 09 Malibu, which is compatible with the stepper motors in mine. And luckily they had a broken Dell computer that runs their shop software that they need repaired. So we're able to, work out a nice little trade there. I'll take care of their computer, get that fixed, or just get them another one. I got extras. And get that all set up for them, and then I got the instrument cluster. So I'm going to go back, pull a stepper motor out of this guy, and try to get the Equinox all fixed up here. Alright, so I got the instrument cluster out of an 09 Malibu. This is one of the compatible ones that should have the same stepper motors. So I'm just going to take this one apart. I guess really before I take these screws out, I just need to get this plastic cover off of this one. And let's see how it goes. Kind of the same deal where you got some of these nice little plastic clips. These don't seem as fragile. Looks like you pull these plastic parts back. Okay, so now let's go ahead and pop these off. Okay, now we're going to take these out. So that's all the screws, so now we just got to pop her apart. Looks like it's just got these plastic clips. Something hanging up down here, okay. Just a clip. Alright. That feels really nice and smooth. We're going to go after that one. And so you can see there's, hopefully you can see there's just four little posts here that we're just going to have to melt the solder on and get that solder out of there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and solder this. I've got my soldering iron heated up. I just have a wet paper towel to clean that tip off. Then I'm going to tin it. I'm using some of my old Radio Shack silver bearing solder. This is my favorite stuff. I have a bunch of it. I stocked up before they went out of business. And then what I'm going to do also is use a little bit of flux on this guy. Really, you want to use this more when you put the new joints in, but I want this to flow nice so I can desolder it. Let me just squeeze it down. A little there, a little there, a little there, more there. On those 4 points. So now basically what I'm going to do is go back and hit these with some silver bearing solder, because the solder they usually use on this is this lead free crap. It doesn't flow well, so the best thing to do is to just touch it up like this with some fresh stuff, and then we'll go ahead and hit it with the desoldering wick. And this is just Radio Shack stuff, but you can buy it all over the place. And just heat that up and let that soldering wick suck all that solder up out of there. pretty loose, it looks like. I'll just go ahead and give it a little tug. And I'll go ahead and get these two front ones. Because I know what I gotta do is find a way to kind of put some pressure on this guy while I want to gently put some pressure on it and not mar it up. Let me try the plastic. I don't really care about this board, but this is just kind of a practice for how I'm going to take the other one off of my other board. I'll kind of wedge that plastic up in here like so, and then it's going to kind of rest on that plastic, and we're just going to heat these up. Slowly starting to work that loose. And those are about flush, so we'll heat these up in the front a little. You can see it's starting to work itself up off of the board there. So I'm just going to wedge this back in here a little tighter. And then go forward again. Still working her up off of there. So really the only place it's holding now is on this one pin over here. I'll wedge that on that side. I'm just gonna heat that guy up. There we go. I got that out of there without really doing any damage at all to the board. And I've got my stepper motor removed. So now what I'm going to do is just clean up these tips here. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm ready to pull the bad one out of the Equinox board and replace it. Okay, so for this one I'm going to do the same thing. I just put a little X right up here with a Sharpie marker, and we're just going to see if we can go ahead and get everything pulled out of this guy. There is a lot more stuff around these contacts on this board, so it's going to be a little trickier. I'm going to melt that flux and touch her up with some silver bearing solder. Now I'm going to see if I can't get this one to kind of work its way up out of here without needing to do the solder weight. So I think if I just melt that solder, this will come out. You can see it's starting to work its way up off of there. So I'm just gonna take and wedge it right back in here again. Oh. So we're just gonna keep on. So I got them all kind of loose now, except for this one pin back here, which I think I could just grab this in my hand and give it a little tug. Oh, there's pins, and this pin, and there we go. So that's the bad one that's out. I already put an X on the back of that one too, so I don't get them confused. It's nothing like soldering back in your bad part. So I'm just going to check. All these holes look really clean. I don't think I need to go over them with any desoldering wick. I mean, they're opened up. Here's my used one. That's good, I hope. And we just put that in there like so. I mean, these sit right down on the board. And then what we got to do is find something to keep a little pressure on it, so that I can solder it in. Once you get like one solder contact made, the rest will go in like super easy. You just gotta get one pin soldered in, and then you can heat that one pin up, push it tight to the board, and then do the rest. So I'm just gonna pick this one right here. Hit that. And then what I'll do is just push on it with my finger, heat that up again, make sure she's seated nice and tight. Oh, I let go too soon. It hadn't set yet. Let's see if we can put a little solder on that guy too. Now she's seated in there good. So now what I'll do is come over and do one of these pins on the other side. There, right there, and right there. Okay. Let me just re-tin this tip real good. Just have to get enough heat. You gotta push tight to the little pad it solders to in the pan. Okay, and then these two up here. Put a little more solder on these. we're all replaced there. Let me get out of here. Make sure she still turns okay. Feels good. Okay, so now I'm just gonna get some flux remover and we'll clean all this nasty old flux off the board here. Alright, so what I use is this MG Chemical Super Wash Until. I've had this can forever. It only takes a little bit of this. It's like 24 bucks a can, but I've had this for like at least 10 years. So all I'm gonna do is just spray a little on here like so. Grab me a nylon bristle brush. Just kind of go over all this a little bit. And spray a little more on. And maybe some more. And it makes a nice, clean, finished appearance, like a nice professional job there. Looks real good. Okay, so now we're ready to start reassembling this guy.
Yeah?
It just kind of pushes down under these clips. Just be nice and gentle with it. Okay, we're good there, and now we're just going to put this back cover back on. Again, this just kind of clips in. Okay, and so now we just got to put these screws back in all the way around, so let me get those. Alright, so that's all back together on the back end, and now we got to deal with this front part. And this, of course, we broke some of these plastic clips, so I'm going to go ahead and repair those before we move forward with this. Okay, so I'm just going to use some Harbor Freight super glue. And then this one here cracked. You can see that right at the bottom. So I'm just going to reinforce it with a little super glue on here. So pry it to the side, get a little super glue down that crack. This one here is just not sticking, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and clean this inside of this as good as I can. I got a couple of spots of super glue on it. Didn't mean to, but we'll just get it as clean as we can. Our needles back in our gauges. Set that plastic off to the side. So we just got two long ones, and they're exactly the same length. So what I do is put it down part way, and then we'll get this gauge set all the way to its home position. Okay, so that's its home position on the motor. So now we'll just get it right in between those two lines we made on the tape. Alright. There. And push it home. Yep, looks good. I'll take that out. Move this up. I'll just grime right off of here. That kind of sucks. Yeah, you can see there was a little wet super glue over here, and then when I wiped that down, I drug it across, messed up the plastic coating. So, not a perfect job, but I think it's good enough for me. We'll go ahead and reinstall this. If at some point I come across another Equinox and I can get a cover out of it, I certainly will do that. Anyway, here's the instrument cluster. We'll go ahead and get her plugged back in here. Get her set back in here. We'll go ahead and turn the key on, and let's see if these gauges work first. Just curious. Yeah, I mean, they're all moving. Perfect. Okay. So now I can go ahead and put everything back together. Yeehaw! Alright, so I guess here she is. Go ahead and start her up. So, yeah, I mean, it works. So some lessons that I've learned from this is you definitely want to use a heat gun on this plastic part and heat this up a little bit, or a good hair dryer, to get these a little bit more supple before you try to unclick the clear plastic part, because then the part's cracked. And then if you use super glue, let it dry completely before you try to clean it, because that's what these little scuffs here are. Is where I was cleaning it, there was some wet super glue on that one tab and I wiped it across. So not perfect, but the temperature gauge works. I'm good with it. I'll drive it forever. I mean, it's not like it's a Porsche, it's an old Chevy Equinox. So, but if I do come across one that has a good plastic part or whatever, I might change them out, or just change out the whole cluster at some point in the future. So I own this car longer, more and more of them are going to show up in the junkyard. But all in all, with the stepper motor, not being able to buy those and having to get them used, more expensive, all that, I probably would say that for $225 to ship this out and have them go through it and repair it at United Radio, it's probably actually a good deal when you take all your time and frustration into account. But you know, I guess it depends. I mean, I'm glad I didn't really have to spend anything to fix this, but I'm sure United Radio would have done a better job not cracking those pieces and not having a messed up front on it anymore. But you know, stuff happens. So that's that. I guess that's how you fix it. And now I'm ready to get in my car and get to my destination here. I gotta leave here in about 45 minutes. So I'll talk to y'all later. This is Tom, your Frugal Prepper.